Welcome to the Release Day Series podcast. Joining me today is Alissa Klug and Brendan Albert, who together make up the post-punk garage rock duo Queens and Kings. Now, their latest single, Going Through Hell, was released on March 26th, 2021. Alissa, Brendan, you guys have been so busy since the release of this single and the music video. Thank you for finding the time to chat with me today.
Thank you for having us.
Yes, thanks very much, Alex. Happy to be here, man.
Excellent. Yeah. So, I kind of actually want to start off and I want to talk a bit about you guys, but mostly right now, the involvement you guys have had in the Toronto music scene, because it seemed like everywhere I would go, and I wasn't out often, but every time I'd be out, you guys were there. So, I mean, aside from like this, the pandemic being awful, how weird is it these days not to be out like every night at a venue listening to live music?
Do you want to go first, Alissa?
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, it's definitely, I think, the hardest part about all this for a lot of people, well, musicians and people who love going, music goers, live music goers, is to not be able to, have that life and to just kind of like, when this all went down like a year ago, I was just like, oh, like that's it for the next 2 years. Like our industry is just going to be like screwed. And yeah, so it's hard, like it really is hard, but like, humans find ways to adapt and just, still like kind of meeting a lot of people and finding ways to continue doing what we're doing just in a different way. And in a way, kind of at a grander scale, because like, I'm like talking to people like who are all over the world online. So just have to adapt and do what we can for now, I guess.
Yeah, it definitely has made you shift and open up new ways to connect and new things and give you new skills and new things that we've been doing. We've been hardcore. She just edited the last video. You know what I mean? Like, so we've been learning all these crazy new things and doing tons of stuff. But to be honest, like part of my soul feels dead. So like I need playing live and being out at shows. That was part of my life since I was a teenager. Like this is the first time ever it's stopped like that. Like it's literally like, what would life be like without music, without playing, and without, like that's never happened. There was 20 years where I was singing 2 hours a day and playing guitar 2 to 3 hours a day every single day. I would go write songs in the park. I do all this. Like it's really weird to have, and playing lots and lots of shows. And we were, like you said, we were out, we were all over town. We were playing so often, and it brought such joy. Sure, it was like maybe tiring or it was stressful. You got a big show, you're put on last, so you gotta like, you can't enjoy all the bands before as much as you want because you're getting prepared mentally for your show and all these things. But when you got off, that feeling of being elated and just like that experience is what life is about, right? Sure, you're aiming for always something higher or whatever, but those moments later you realize were the important ones, right? And we're being robbed of that, and it's kind of like, it's hard, and we want to get back to rock and roll and getting back on stage. For us together, it was complete therapy where we could let loose, and all the hard work we've done we can share with people and get that energy cyclical from the audience. And it's been tough for sure.
Was it a living for you guys? Had you made it a living, or were you on sort of on that path?
Well, I mean, Brendan still kind of does a lot of his, like, he's a photographer, which is pretty well known, especially in the city, concert photographer and other photography, and graphic designer, web designer, and now he's doing music videos as well. So I think that was a big part of his kind of income, and yeah, so obviously those kind of things are, you can edit things remotely, but you can't actually do the shooting. So like, especially right now, it just feels too sketchy. Like there were like windows of time in the summer where some of that might have felt like a little bit more okay with certain precautions, but right now it's feeling a bit dodgy.
Yeah, the one thing, like I've always had like these kind of things to kind of fall back on and for money and things like that. and even now I'm still getting like contract web work kind of come in once in a while, little bits. But Alyssa's always been very good, and she's always made more money than me at music.
I'm just kind of on it all the time. Like my mind is very one track, and I'm always thinking of ways to, you know, build and grow and expand and all that stuff. So I'm always searching, always figuring things out, always, you know, reaching out to people and trying to make things happen and stuff like that. So, you know, that's, yeah, it's.
Yeah. Well, you guys have always been so amazing at your DIY, you know, the way that you really do it yourself with everything. I mean, your music videos, and we'll get into those later, you know, obviously you have some production help and you've had great production teams to put them together, but everything surrounding you guys, and this includes the branding, which I've loved since I've been introduced to you. So I want to talk a little bit about that and how you were able to get to such a distinctive name in Queens and Kings, and then the branding that came along with that. So let's start there. Queens and Kings. How do we form that name to lead into who you guys?
Queens and Kings was actually the third name we landed on. We were two other names. The second one I actually really like, and sometimes I kind of feel a little
sometimes
bit sometimes I regret shifting from that name for various reasons, and I still want to use it, so I'm kind of keeping it on the DL just because I still want to use it, although it won't work as well for like a different projects. But this name, like I was just kind of like always like spitting out like ideas, and it just kind of came, and it's kind of like has multiple reasons behind it. Like Brendan and I are both kind of like very like a little bit alpha kind of people. So like we're both kind of our own like, you know, monarchy or like our own kingdom in a way. And so we sometimes kind of like go to battle over certain things that we both were like really dead set on. And then we kind of like also kind of, you know, find ways to work through that and work together and form an alliance and see things through.
It just it felt right when it was brought up, and yeah,
and then as for the branding, like, you know, the first thing that you think of, like for me, the first thing I thought of when you think of Queens and Kings is the royal crest. So, and people probably don't notice this aspect, but the two lions are not the same. One is male and one is female. I think that I actually mentioned that to Brendan the other day. He was like, I didn't even know that. Yeah.
And we put it together. Like, I mean, I've done web and graphic design for almost as long as I've been a musician. We're 20 years, graduated school, like 2 schools with honors, and did all this crazy stuff. So that's like what I've been doing second longest. But this was a real working together. The idea is just, this is one of those examples of when we work together and something clicks, it's effortless, and we both have the same vision, both wanted the same outcome. You know, all I did was take random graphics while we were talking over ideas. I go to the internet, grab random kind of graphics, put them together, and then we go have an idea. And she kept saying, you could do it, you know, like, because I've designed logos for a long time. But I design logos differently than an illustrator designs logos. I don't go into Adobe Illustrator from scratch and make cool organic intersecting designs. I go to Photoshop and mock stuff up and do that. So I'm good with that. So I was adamant we got to get someone else to do it. I'm very proud of how we pulled that off, and the branding. And we both love like black, white, and red. Like we just
red and gold are our 4 colors.
Yeah, we meet on those, and it was, you know, my background and her ideas and my ideas mixed, and then I was super happy about it. And then once we started making the merch, you know, then I was like, wow, I really like it.
You know, when you were thinking about this though, did you say, okay, we started with the logo, we got the name, now we've got our logo, how are the photos going to tie in? Did you guys going to go through a bit of a process in breaking down how these elements were going to play, like, you know, work with each other?
Yeah, we definitely we have a very, very clear vision for this project, both visually and musically, and the two are totally interrelated and reflect each other. So yeah, we definitely like always have like kind of a plan and an end goal for how things should kind of look and sound. And
but what we're very lucky to do, the DIY stuff coming into play here, is I will go do photo shoots. I called mega shoots where I would get like 5 clients at a time, and there would be every hour one would leave the studio, one new one would come in. So I would give them a cheaper rate, but I'd make more for the day because I'd have multiple. So it's a lot of work. It was crazy work. But what we did in between, we're like, Alissa, I need to test the focal length and the lighting and the flashes and the stuff. So we're like, let's get some Queens and Kings shots. So we sneak in there, get the test. I used my remote. I had a little remote for the camera, which triggered all the main huge studio flashes. So we had to be smart. Like, how do we get our look and our feel and whatever in this quick amount of time that we have in this amazing 40-foot tall ceiling studio?
Yeah.
You know, and then later we could, because of my graphic stuff, we could go over what to do. We discuss what we want, and then I'll just try stuff out she's suggesting, and I'll try my stuff. And so it's been, we definitely plan up. We also have some moments where we fly by wire, but being super creative people, we're both multi-instrumentalists. We both run our own bands and other bands. And I've done electronic music and rock and folk, and she just has a 7-piece reggae band and all this stuff. So we have so much creativity that when you have these kind of moments, we just flow that energy into whatever the moment is and make it us in the end, however long it takes to get there. But
it's great, and I love hearing that, because I was talking with, and you guys know you're on his podcast, Brent Jensen, on his Unmistakable Sudbury podcast, and he said that not the name of the podcast, but the music that makes your skin vibrate, his tagline, that was kind of like, he just kind of thought about it, and now that's been his tagline for over 200 episodes. And when you talk about being able to improvise like that, coming in and getting things done real quick, sometimes, like, and what I told Brent was, sometimes that's where the best ideas and the best things can happen, because you're under that a little bit of creative pressure, and sometimes it's good, sometimes it's not. But I think again, like you say, you're creative people, you can channel that into the right creative space.
And we will work on the fly too. Like, for anywhere that's got a cool look to it, or if we're in the middle of a video shoot, I'll be like, let's get some photos. So, we'll have some extra material to go with that. Or we've even done shoots here, and you can't tell that it's in my apartment or other apartments that we've been in. Like our main photo that we're using on our website right now is just done in my apartment.
Cool.
So
you can't tell once you understand like the light exposure triangle, which is the geeky thing for photographers. Then you can really play with that. Like, I studied to learn how the mechanics of cameras worked, so I could put my own creativity into them, know how the engine works, and then you can manipulate it. And that's why we can be anywhere and do a certain way with the shutter speed or the focal length or whatever to make something look completely different than where you are. And she's always, we work together. It's not like I got all this photography background or whatever. She's like, Brendan, we got to do shoots. And I'm like, and she's like, come on.
You got your compliment.
Minds, because I have very strong visions, and sometimes I'll say to him, like, with our current single art, like, I'll have a vision and like he'll execute it. You know what I mean? So it's a really like a team kind of effort.
Well, that's great, because it all plays so well, the visuals and the graphics, and then the way that it coincides with the music. It just, like, nothing's disjointed. It sounds like it looks,
I'm glad to hear that.
I mean, like, you go to a website, you see you guys, and you're like, this is going to be a bit raunchier. This is going to be a bit, it's a bit grungier, and that's exactly what it is. And you guys do that so well. So the new single, Going Through Hell, let's talk a bit about that. So this song, as you guys have put it, is about learning to let go of things and finding ways to move forward. And now, anybody that kind of knows you or knows your story, there's been quite a history between you two, whether it be as musicians or as a couple. Based on that history, was it just a matter of time before a song like this was written?
We probably had other songs that were almost like that we have that are, we don't even know that each other is about us. You know what I mean? Like, I'll write something and maybe a little bit of our real lives will sneak back into it and stuff. But I'll let Alissa take the reins on this. I
guess even though, like, was this song a collaboration between you two, or did one of you write it and then, like, how
we always collaborate on some level on the stuff we do together. So this song came out of just a rehearsal. Like we were in the rehearsal factory, I think, and just like we always kind of like before we start playing or at some point in our rehearsal, we'll start just like fidgeting around. Brendan will start noodling or whatever, and he started playing something, and I started kind of vocalizing, and the melody that came out of me pretty much from the first time was like the song, and plus including the chorus. The "You and I Had Heaven, Baby," that came to me like right away. So I kind of I generally write songs around like when a few words come out, or sometimes it's like one word that will form when I'm just like humming to a melody, and I'll generally take whatever comes out and I'll write my song around that. Like I'll make a concept around that word or those words. So for me, like those words just kind of sounded like a failed relationship or a struggle in a relationship, a relationship that was in turmoil, and like that's like our story. So
yeah, that's a super small version.
Right.
Yeah. Our relationship
10 years of intensity.
Our relationship has been like our dynamic has always been like extremely like fire and ice, push and pull.
Sid and Nancy, yes.
Well, and I mean, it's nice when there's ambiguity to music, but I think that this song, the fact that it is, so descriptive, it really allows others to connect to it as well.
Yeah, it can be a mirror for other people and what they're going through when people have gone through the same kind of things. And what I love about this song, it kind of came out of nowhere. Like we have mellower tunes and stuff, but it flowed. And what I really like, Alissa definitely took more of the lead on the subject matter and writing a lot of the lyrics out, getting the general idea. And then I, for my parts, kind of fed off what she already had written down and stuff. So I kind of, see this leaning, if there was a needle who kind of pulled the song in certain ways, I'd say she takes more of that kind of ownership for this song.
Yeah.
You can't make it better to me for this song, right? And then how our voices are complement each other but are very different, and it's a unique kind of thing that we've developed from my music and from her music, because we both backed each other before we were even a band together. So we had a lot of this, it was all leading up to Queens and Kings, kind of thing. But yeah, I'm really definitely proud of the song, and I think Alissa killed her parts, like in the vocals. Oh my God, like the takes. You don't realize in the studio, you're hearing her singing, you're like, wow, it's pretty good. But then when you hear it later, you're like, that's perfect.
Yeah.
Like you can't
can't
do a better take. There's so much emotion, so much inflection, so much.
And I love the way that too they bring you in, that you bring yourself into the song as well, Brendan. I think it's so great, like this Alissa with it, the majority of the song, and then kind of bring you in with that sort of July talk, deep voice sound to it, that I think really again just adds another layer. How did the production of this take place? Was this recorded during pandemic, before pandemic? What was the process in getting this song recorded?
It was we were really lucky. We recorded all of the whole entire album before the pandemic. So we recorded all of this it was actually recorded in a couple of different studios. And the second one, I thought that it was recorded a lot sooner, but I had to go back. I had really weird luck with all of our recording sessions. And on each occasion, there was something physically wrong with me. Like I had like body like injuries and could barely move my arms for the stuff that way when I was supposed to be drumming, and like each take was like super painful. Like for I'm Begging, when I had to sing that song, I had some weird intense throat thing, and each take was like major pain, and not like psychosomatic or anything. It's just weird. So I had some issues the first time we did some of our vocals. So I went back to Lincoln County and just did a little bit more vocals with John. I wanted to just refresh some of my vocals on Earthquake and Going Through Hell. I think the reason I did Going Through Hell was because I listened to the vocals and I realized I was saying, you and I we went through heaven and now we're going through hell. And I'm like, what the fuck is going through heaven? Like, I'm supposed to say going to heaven. We went to heaven. So the perfectionist in me was like, I have to redo that shit. Like, it's always going to bug me. So
You worked with a producer for this?
No, we never work with a producer.
We're like you say, like we're people with like
100% DIY.
This project, we're extremely we know we have a vision. We have a very strong vision. So we have like, someone else, Florencia has been mixing for us, and we've had a few different people master for us and a few people record for us. Like we're getting our stuff mastered by Bill Skibby in Detroit, and the first song was mastered by someone else. So it's been like a bit of a mishmash. But yeah, we always kind of call the shots on how we want it to sound, and we just kind of like know what we're looking for, I guess. So
and it goes pretty well in the studio every time we go in. So I think every song we've just hunkered down and had a good session, and we're very particular. So when we get into the studio, we do a lot of the, like we both are mixing engineers as well. So we're not like hands off when it comes to the output. So you're saying like we're really DIY. We really are. Like,
we're probably a real pain in the ass.
We are. We have like a Juno award-winning sound engineer mixing our shit, and we're getting him to do like 10 times.
Like to the T, like, this is how we want it pan, this is how we want it EQ, this is how we want, change this effect. Like we're very specific about everything. So I'm sure it's a bit annoying. But in the end, I think we get a great sound, and I think everyone agrees that in the end, like
I'm sure it can be annoying, or it's exactly what some people are looking for.
Yeah, well,
sometimes
I guess
it's like,
it.
you know what you're looking for. It's not, you're not, maybe, or you don't know what you're talking about. I'm sure there are producers that are just like, let me do my job, or mixing it.
And I guess if we are producing it, I guess a mix engineer wants that kind of like, direction from whoever's producing it. So I guess it's kind of like,
well, have they ever told you to like fuck off or stop talking?
No.
Or, right.
No, there could be a limit to what you're getting for your money. Like, we're gonna have to, come to some kind of conclusion. Or
oh, that's great. Yeah, no, I think it's important. I think it's great that you know what you want, and guys can go in there, you can get it, because that's, I think, been the results of your music is, again, nothing sounds disjointed song to song either, right? It's all it's queens and kings. So no, that's really cool. So
we're hoping that, because it's only the third single off the album, and so it's going to be an 8-song album. So
come back to us when the album's done, and we'll revisit.
Well, so far,
make sure it's all cohesive and
so far so good.
Well, I think, and that's cool. I mean, and also kind of crazy to think about how long it's been going for you guys to get to this album, because being on your website, I think in 2019, you had the 4 songs sort of laid out on the website to say, hey, this song is coming up, this song's here, this song's going to be coming next. So, I think it's just, you guys are really, you are planned out for how you were, know you're going to be wanting to release this. So a big part of this release was, and like your other releases, are the music videos, but we'll speak specifically to Going Through Hell's music video right now. And you put that out on April 2nd, and this was a great video. It's really allows people watching it to connect to you guys. And if you didn't, like we were talking about the message of the song, if you didn't know you before then, or didn't know them through the song, watch the video and you'll get a really amazing picture of the last 10 plus years of footage that you use to put this together, created with cell phone footage, some DSLR camera footage. And I mean, obviously in today's world, you try and capture as much as you can as a musician, whether wherever you're going, essentially. When you guys were capturing this footage, did you know it was going to be used for a music video? Was that the intent, or just that was a good time?
Not for the most part. A little bit of the stuff in the country we did recently, knowing that we wanted a certain kind of, and actually the end scene, the very kind of near the end, when we're like the beginning and the end, the motel, and the end where we're at the water, or near the end. Like
The
those things
sunset.
were kind of like certain things I just I had an idea, and I was like, and that was actually those scenes were actually taken on Brendan's birthday. And it was a really cold day, and it was supposed to be the last scene of the video, but it was just kind of serendipitous that I had put a live performance just on one track and just laid it out. And I just thought I'll just put the whole thing out because, you know, in moments where I might not have something else, I'll just like, you know, have this moment, take this moment of this live clip.
And it really it lines up so well. Like,
yeah, and then Brendan had actually the little there's like a photo montage of our friend Kirsten's photos. That was something like originally he was going to edit the video, and then I was like, you know, can I take it, you know, try my hand at this one. So that little photo montage kind of near the end, he had actually put that in because he was just like testing stuff out. And so it was already there.
Things just fell into place.
Yeah. So it just kind of, and because it was like, you know, especially with our situation, like you have all the photos and then you have like the crowd scene, and it's all just kind of like things that are kind of like you don't have right now, you know what I mean? It's all kind of like this, you know, remnants of the past that we're kind of missing at this time.
Yeah, for sure. And it, yeah, like I said, it just feels good. Like you can connect with it, and anybody from sort of the Toronto scene, you know, can recognize the venues that you guys were playing in and harkening back to. And, you know, it's just a really, yeah, great reminiscent piece. And as you say, you know, the way that 2020 and now 2021, they've kind of all taken place, you know, the song really does have a bit of a deeper meaning. And when you see these visuals, you know, it really speaks to that. You know, when you see Cherry Colas and know that they're sort of going through this fight to keep their venue open and have been for the last year, and you see shots from the Hideout, which was one of the first venues to go early in 2020, and honestly one of the best venues, and one of the places that so many people were able to meet at, and, you know, just so many relationships I felt like are built at so many, but the Hideout, they just made it this place, this hub that
a total community there.
Yeah.
For sure,
and even with, you know, the City Love open mic guys, you know, they had their open mic over at ABC, but then they brought it, you know, to the Hideout from, you know, the original spot to the new spot.
Yeah.
It's just, you're right. It's just such a communal area. And then of course, you know, the legendary Horseshoe is in there, which is awesome. You know, and they're obviously, yeah, still kicking. And, you know, the team with Collective Concerts doing everything they can with For the Love of Live and the Canadian Live Music Association to keep those things open. So all that to say, you know, it's just when you see those things, you know, there's something emotional about the video. I think that a lot of, you know, musicians, whether they know you or can connect to a relationship level with what the visuals show, you know, really it connects. And so with that said as well, you know, was this just let's go into our hard drive and find it, or, you know, do we have an idea of like, look, you know we want to go through and show our journey, and we want to show some videos? Like, how did the pre-production for this one begin?
Yeah, it was 100% like, you know, something like I kind of had an idea of like, basically like we wanted the video to tell the story of the song, which is, you know, the story of kind of our journey that we've had. And kind of, I guess it's being told through the lens of like, you know, like the physical kind of touring of two musicians and what they go through in their struggles. So it's kind of like our personal journey is told through that story. So we definitely wanted to include like all the moments where, you know, all the different scenes where we played that song, and you know, well, obviously it wasn't all of them. It was like some moments that we had captured. So definitely it was definitely pre-planned to find any video footage that we happened to have. And luckily, like we did have like, you know, kind of a variety of different venues that we played, where we just had to happen to have some video footage of that. And
yeah, good cross section of what we've been through and what some of our highlights might have been, and, you know, what were the best of times, what were the worst of times, right? So Like, I mean, one of the best time memories I have in my whole life is that shot of us in Hawaii where I got the snorkel on my face. And I don't know if you don't remember that one, Alex, from the video, but it says palm trees in the background and we're in the water. She's helping me take the goggles off and I look at the camera. It's almost like someone would set up that shot. Okay, take, for the rolling, but it was just a natural moment.
And the footage also reflects what's happening in the song. Like I purposely wanted that kind of like dichotomy of like the happy scenes in the first part of the chorus. We had heaven, and then kind of showing some of the other side of our relationship, like we had hell. So there's definitely like, I was trying to kind of reflect the words of what was happening. And it was just like, it was kind of this mix of like, us collectively letting go of like, nostalgia for what we all had. And then also like, Brendan and I, our relationship has really, evolved and changed. And we, I don't even know how to classify what we are now. So
we're now married. No, I'm just kidding.
We had like 10 kids.
But I think the main thing is that you guys know how to work together, and you guys work together well to create these moments, to to come up with what you guys visually know you want to put together to best represent the song and yourselves as the artist. And and just I had my previous episode 2 episodes ago with Lamb Lion, they said some of the same thing when it came to having a release plan. It's like the intent is there, and it sounds like the intent of what you guys want to do is there from a visual standpoint, from a written standpoint. You know what you want to do and how you want to get there, but being open to how you get there. It's you can have a
100%.
plan and you can have this straight and narrow mindset, but that can be more inhibiting than it is to like, hey, let's just think about what I heard something over here, let's maybe go check it out. And from what I understand as well, that's almost sort of how you guys have shot your next music video as well, right? You guys were out shooting music videos footage for this one, for
super excited for the next one.
And then
oh my God.
You got Earthquake lined up to come out
Speaking
next.
of Earthquake, we're not sure if it'll be next or not, but we have the song mixed and mastered, and we have the video footage shot.
Well, it's also the Premiere project file for video editing software is made. Yeah. I have elements already in there for cool stuff with drones and some cool stuff in there. Right. So we have a start. It's just a matter of me hunkering down, and then
he's claimed this one. I'm like
well, I'm not. It's not a full shutout because that's not how I operate.
Very instrumental.
Brendan, you're gonna have a fight on your hands from now on.
Put up your dude.
When he's editing, I always still am very
Yeah, well, I think that's probably an agreement.
Make sure this part gets in there, or try and use this overlay, or give suggestions for this should look this way, or so. But I mean, that one we shot in 2 different locations and 2 very distinct locations. I think from here on out, we're just gonna have some. We have an idea for how we're gonna do the rest of our videos. So
cool.
Yeah, we shot half of this one again, just ourselves, just the 2 of us holding the camera on both of us. Or on
it's an aesthetic thing, right?
With
it kind of just plays into, I think, into you guys' brands, like what you are, what people can expect from you, and I think that's really cool. But I think my main takeaway from what you guys do for your planning is really working together and coming up with something that just visually and adds to the song and to the music. That's really going to hit the point home.
Yeah, and I feel at the root of it, you can talk the technical about editing, or you can talk about photography or art or whatever, but at the root of it, it really is a feel thing. It's really like, I can't explain it, but when I'm editing or when I'm making something or building a web page or whatever, I won't know what's wrong with it, but I know something's wrong with it. Right. And I'll work it until I feel it. I feel it. And it's that's what all of our stuff is for the songs, for everything. It's a feel thing. And I'm not sure if that can be taught or not. I don't know.
It's just instinct. Something in your gut just tells you. I had some of that with this video. There's just something that maybe doesn't sit right with you, and you just have it it will continue to fester until you make a change.
Brendan, Alissa, thank you guys so much for taking the time to talk about your new single, Going Through Hell. You got new music coming out, and always excited to see when you guys are releasing new music and new visuals. Everything is just it's so well done with what you guys do. So thank you for taking the time.
Thank you. Thanks so much
Thank
for
you,
having
man.
me.